Step 3 says choose checkpoints. So I need to choose a point from each region and substitute into the original. Well, from this region, I might as well choose -2. From this region, I'm going to choose 0. And from this region, I'm going to choose 5. I'm going to substitute into the original inequality, which was x squared minus 3x is less than 4. Replace x with parentheses, and I'm going to check -2. So to check -2, I put -2 in the parentheses. So we're using the checkpoint -2. Do exponents first. -2 squared is 4. Subtract. 3 times a -2 is less than 4. Now multiply. Before subtract, a -6 is less than 4. 4 plus 6 is less than 4. 10 less than 4, which is false. So this region gave me a false. Now we're going to check 0. Again, replace the x with parentheses. And since I'm checking 0, I'm going to put 0 inside the parentheses. 0 squared is 0. Multiply. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract, I get 0 less than 4, which is true. So 0 gave me a true, which means that all points between -1 and 4 make the inequality true. Now let's check 5. Again, rewrite it, just replacing x with parentheses. And what I'm going to put in parentheses is 5. So it's going to be 25 minus 3 times 5, less than 4. 25 minus 15, less than 4. 10, less than 4, which is false. So this was false. Now we shade the region that has the solution. So here we have the solution. Now the way I can write that using the notation I showed you before is I start at -1 and I exclude -1 and I continue to 4 and we exclude 4. I start at -1, I end at 4, I exclude both of them because the original problem was strictly less than. Now let's solve 2x squared plus 3x is greater than or equal to 7. Step 1, get the boundaries. 2x squared plus 3x is equal to 7. Subtract 7 to both sides, from both sides to get 2x squared plus 3x, or let's add an opposite of 7 to both sides, plus a -7 is equal to 0. So I simply added -7 to both sides. If I add a -7 to the left, I just have 2x squared plus 3x plus a -7. If I add a -7 to the right, 7 plus a -7 is 0. The next step would be to factor if we could. But this one I don't think will factor, or at least if it does factor, I don't know the factors quickly. So let's use the formula. We know the formula is x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, of course, a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant. So reading off, I can see that a is 2, b is 3, and c is negative 7. Substituting into the quadratic formula, I get x is the opposite of 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4, and this will be AC. A is 2, C is negative 7, all over 2A, which will be 2 times 2. So I get x is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9. Now, according to the order of operations, we do the exponents first, and then we do the multiplication. Well, I've already done the exponents, so I'm going to go ahead and do the multiplication now. So it'd be 9 subtract 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. And a positive times a negative is negative. Over 2 times 2 is 4. So this is going to be x is equal to a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 56 over 4. Where I get x is equal to a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 65 over 4. I can write this as x is equal to negative 3 plus the square root of 65 over 4, or x is equal to a negative 3 minus the square root of 65 over 4. Now, these are the two exact answers. I really prefer decimal answers when you're dealing with radicals. So let's take the calculator and get the decimal answers and round to hundreds for these two. Okay, so let's do a negative 3 plus the square root of 65 divided by 4. I have to put in the parentheses. And it will be negative 3 plus the square root of 65 divided by 4. So notice how we had to put it in. We have to have the parentheses before the negative 3 and after the 65 to show that the whole numerator is divided by 4. So I have to put the whole numerator in parentheses. Then the 65 is in the parentheses to show that's what I'm taking the square root of. So it's negative 3 plus the square root of 65 divided by 4. And now I hit enter. And if I round that to hundredths, I get 1.27. So rounded to hundredths, it would be 1 and 27 hundredths. So this would be 1.27. Now we're going to do minus. So again, parentheses, negative 3 minus the square root of 65 divided by 4, and we get a negative 2.77 when I round to hundreds. So negative 2.77.